Alright, so we're going to move on to putting our front hanger bracket on right here. So as we showed earlier, you had to remove the existing sway bar mount to clear the back bottom part of the mount. What we're going to do now is drill out these 4 bolts of the original hanger mount to 15-30 seconds. We'll have to add one more hole about right here, and then the existing slot hole here will be shared and used on the bracket. Once we drill them, we'll also have to add 2 holes on the bottom to bolt to the bottom. We'll get there after we drill out the 4 holes we need here, and then we'll mark the other 3 that need to be drilled. So we're going to use a 15-30 seconds drill bit, drill those out. Alright, those 4 drilled. We'll mark the bracket up so we can mark our other 3. As we see, we're going to drill 1 right here, and then there'll be the 2 on the bottom here. We'll center mark our holes. Back out to a smaller drill bit. Again, I'm using around a 3/16 a quarter drill bit to start a pilot hole. It just makes it easier when you go to drill out for the 15-30 seconds hole. Swap out to our 15-30 seconds. Again, you possibly could get away with using a 7/16, but the bolts are 7/16 we're putting in there. And with these brackets at the front, we've made every effort to make everything line up perfect, but they may be slightly off, so the slightly oversized bolt hole helps ensure you can get all the bolts in, even with a little bit of frame variance. All right, now we should be able to go ahead and bolt the bracket on there. Two started there. few of them. They're just a little tight. We may have to run them in with a ratchet. Again, that's why we use the oversized drill bit, just to allow for a little bit of variance there between the original height of the holes and then due to the bracket being welded together. All right, so on that one, we're off just a little bit. So we're just gonna go ahead and try to pull up the bolts just slightly, pull the bracket closer to the frame. You may need to do that just to help line things. Try not to completely tighten any one bolt yet though. Just trying to pull the bracket up as flush with the frame as possible. Now that bolt goes in just fine. Sometimes that's the variance in how close you also mark your holes and drill them. All right. What we do now is I'm just pulling up the bottom two bolts. I would not tighten them up completely first. If you want to go along and actually torque all 6 of the back bolts that hold the bracket here, and then torque your bottom 2 bolts, and she's on there. All right, we're going to move on to our rear bushing mounts. They're going to go right here for the rear of the leaf spring. The first thing we're going to do before we even mark or drill anything is, as you see, and on this frame, there's actually 2 bolts here. You want to look to the back side and, you know, double check. So I've got a brake line and a fuel line here that we're going to have to remove and move out of the way. So I'm going to go on and take them loose. Just want to double check. This one's only got 2 on this side, but you may have your supply and return line, so there could be up to 4 lines on this side. But you want to make sure you get them moved out of the way before we do any drilling, or you'll have to be repairing those along with installing the kit. We're just going to kind of, for me it's kind of easy, but as long as you just make sure that you get them out of the way so when you drill through the frame, you don't hit them. All right, once you've done that, we're going to move on back to this side of the frame. So with the kits, we'll make available an actual template. We'll have this available for you to just download a PDF of it. It'll actually have 2 templates. It'll be one for the passenger side, one for the driver's side. And these are actually to make it easy for you to be able to locate and mark the locations to put your holes at. If you're printing them off yourself, one thing to note is just make sure that in your print options that it is printed at 100% scale. Most times when you go to print, it'll default to just fit to sheet, but you actually need to print at 100% scale so that the dimensions are actually actual size. Again, we have the template. You could actually just take the dimensions and you could manually mark the dimensions and find your hole location, or you can take the template and we're going to actually cut it and use it. So we actually have a line here that represents the edge of the body mount, and we're actually just going to cut up that line. So by cutting up that line, we'll be able to line this directly up with our body mount. So we actually have lines on the template that come over that represent the alignment with the body mount holes. Just like so. All right, got that lined up. And of course the body mount edge is not exactly flush, so it's not critical that it's perfectly flush with. Just get it as close as you can, and that the edge is vertical, and that your mark is lined up to where the body mount rivet hole would be. And just hold that up there, and we'll take us a center punch and put that on top of there. Take our hammer. So we've marked our center point for our main hole and the 4 bolt hole locations. You should be able to find your dimple marks on the frame now where they are. Yep. All right. So at this point, we're going to move ahead. The first thing we're going to do is actually drill where the main hole is for the main part of the bushing mount to clear through there. And you're going to use a 2-inch hole saw. Again, the hole needs to be 2-inch minimum. Normally, if you just use a 2-inch hole saw, it's going to be slightly over 2 inches, which will give you the perfect size for the mount to fit in there. So we're going to go ahead and drill that. All right, after a little work, should be able to get that out of there. Take your time with it. Again, the hole saw will grab pretty good on you. These frames are actually fairly thick, so it will take you a little while to get through that. The cord's gonna be a little hot, so don't touch it barehanded. We didn't get our lines, so we're good there. Next thing we're gonna do is actually take just a flat file. We're going to try to clean up the back edge just a little bit. So when the bushing mount goes in, it goes in from the back side, so we want to make sure it bolts up flush against the frame. So we're just going to kind of deburr that inner edge. Alright, once you have that fairly well deburred, what we're going to do now is we marked where the other 4 holes need to be to actually bolt on, but we're actually going to stick the bracket up there and just double check that we line everything fine. So all we're checking is that the holes we made marks for will line up with our existing bolt holes. This is just as a double check. You don't want to have to drill those more than once or excessively elongate any of them. So all of mine look like they're going to line up fine. Again, you should see the contour here. Once you put it on the inside of the frame, we'll clear the bottom of the frame just fine. So that's just a double check to make sure the holes were marked correctly. So we look good there. So next we'll swap out. And we're going to use a 3/16 drill bit just to start our 4 holes. Alright, once our pilot holes are drilled, we're going to step up and drill the holes out to 15-30 seconds. And actually take our bracket. We're going to snap up in here like so. Make sure you pull the lines out of the way. You don't want to bolt it up. You can, if you're not careful, you can actually bolt lines in between the bracket and end up crimping your lines. And then again, you're going to have to be doing some line repair. You definitely don't want to run into that. All right. All right, and that's your bushing mount installed. Now, we'll go over in a later part segment of the video. We'll actually cover installing the front axle. At that point, we'll go over installation and greasing of the bushings, as well as we will show you there is a slight bit of grinding required on the back of the frame. We do add a spacer to our shackles to try to limit the amount of grinding, but a little bit of clearance needs to be done in order to clear the shackles for the spring. But we'll cover that in the front axle installation video, and that's it. All right, so we're gonna move on to our two-wheel drive to four-wheel drive conversion cross member. The cross member can work for all of any of the original OE mount styles up here, any of the ones that use clamshell mount, so it should cover all engine options. So we're going to show you how to install that. All right, so we've got a driver's side bracket, passenger side bracket, and we'll start by pre-bolting those up to the frame. All right, once you get both mounts loosely put in place, we'll go ahead and mount up the center section, and then we'll tighten everything down. All right, once you've snugged up all the 1/2-inch bolts, we'll go ahead and snug up all 6 of our 7/16 bolts, tying it to the frame. All right, once you've snugged everything up for those, you go ahead and we torque the 7/16 bolts to 50 foot-pounds and all the 1/2-inch ones on the cross member itself to 40. As you can see when we install that, no drilling is required for installation of this. It's a direct bolt-in option, and at this point, all you would have to do is reinstall your original engine brackets that come off the two-wheel drive like so, and reuse the original hardware that came on the frame and attached it here to reinstall, and you're done.